Hello, my name is Lillian. I'm with GMGH Software. Welcome to our another webinar brought to you by GMGH Software in cooperation with our partner Animind. The topic of the webinar is how to reduce potential stock outs and excess stock with AI-based inventory optimization. Presenter for today is Shital Yadav. She's operations head at Animind. She's specialist in statistical techniques and data modeling. Her planning and forecasting experience includes companies in a wide array of sectors. She is master in retail supply chain management as well as master in engineering in biotechnology. Um, okay, Shtal, I think you're good to go. Please go ahead, educate us on AI-based inventory optimization.
Thank you, Lilian. Thanks for the warm welcome. Good evening or good morning, everyone. I'm not sure which part of the world you guys are joining from. So, thank you so much for having me on this session. So, let's get started. So, we'll first talk about what exactly we do as Anamind and Streamline, so that people who are new to this webinar are aware of the same. So, let's get started. So, about Anamine, we help companies improve the planning process in collaboration with Streamline. So, we have planning solutions, which we would be showcasing during the webinar today. We also offer our services, and we also offer a lot of training programs for the planning professionals across the globe. So that's the basic idea about Anamind. And when we talk about solutions and capabilities, because that's the main agenda of this call today, as to how we can use AI-based solution for better inventory planning in gist. So Streamline is basically a solution from company called as GMD at Streamline, which is represented here by Lilian today. So what exactly Streamline does? It can do demand planning, and it's a very accurate planning system for demand planning. We have been in partnership with Streamline for quite a long time now, and we have realized the potential of Streamline in accurate forecasting, and we would be displaying that during the session today. Streamline, on top of demand planning, also does supply planning or inventory optimization, MRP planning, and production planning. So it's a complete solution in its own way, and is a very advanced business planning solution. With these capabilities, what exactly are the output we look at? So we can really make use of such a system to help not only increase our revenue, but it also helps you in saving cost and time. So when we talk about increasing revenue, it helps you identify potential loss of sales, and we would definitely show you the capabilities in that segment. It also helps you in freeing up the capital which is blocked because of the excess stock, which comes along with bad forecasting or inaccurate forecasting. We'll showcase that, and it also helps you in automating your entire supply plan or supply chain planning, which would help you reduce the time. So that's the whole, if I would say what exactly is the benefit of Streamline. So these three sentences would cover it in gist over here. So what's the webinar agenda for today? So we would discuss about using AI to generate accurate forecast in Streamline solution. We would understand the relationship of forecast accuracy and safety stock level. It's really important to understand the relationship, or why it's important to have better forecast, or why it's important to improve the forecast accuracy, because it ultimately translates into better stocking levels. So we would discuss the that in detail during the webinar. We would then discuss how the Streamline solution is identifying the potential losses and excess stock during the go. Then we would discuss about how we can determine the safety stock levels based on better forecast accuracy, based on lead time, service levels using Streamline. We would definitely be touching upon various Streamline solution during the webinar as well. We'll try to cover as much as possible during the during the session. Why people love using Streamline solution, and we personally have seen these capabilities in Streamline. So it's very easy to use. It processes data very rapidly. It is very flexible, which we will show how you can plan at a weekly level or monthly level. You can plan it different categories, time horizon, and you can honestly change your hierarchy on the fly. So it's very flexible from that perspective. The performance of Streamline is very good, and of course it automates your entire process. And the most important part is the AI based forecasting. So it uses innovative forecasting techniques that really improve the forecast accuracy. And at the same time, you really don't have to be a statistician to understand it. So that's the beauty of Streamline Solution. And of course, the forecasts are created at each SKU and a location, or even a channel. If you have that level of viewing in your data, then we can use that as well. So it uses very advanced algorithms in the backend to determine the forecast, which is very high in accuracy. So let's show you how Streamline basically uses an AI-based selection for forecasting. So I'm using a Streamline solution. So this is an example set that I have opened over here. So we have this section which we call it as product tree. So we can define our product or geo hierarchy in this section over here. We have different product categories, or you can say business verticals. You can have that. It's totally customizable and flexible for the user to design it. And what the system is trying to do, it will show you that we have different product categories uh, within the particular division. So we have, say for example, when we have selected food and beverage, within food and beverage we have alcoholic beverage, we have chocolates, water. We have these different categories over here, and within that we can have multiple SKUs. So system is generating a forecast at this particular line item or this particular product, which is in this case dark beer. So each and every item is forecasted by the system the moment we upload the data. So how is it doing the forecasting over here? You will notice the moment I'm selecting a different item, the graph over here is changing, and also the data in this screen is changing. So the graph here represents the actual sales data and the forecast. The gray color line is my actual sales. And based on the actual sales, system is using decision trees in the backend to determine what length of the time period is basically can be used for giving the best results. So if you would notice, there is a blue color line. So this is the model line. The system is automatically generating the forecast using the different model selections available. So it's using an automatic selection, which is dependent on various algorithms which are there in the backend, and uses decision trees on top of it to determine what is the data length, which model would fit in the data best. So it's automatically doing that process for us. We really don't have to, as we said, you really don't have to be statistician to be determining these models. System does that beautifully for you. So in this case, you can see there's a totally different pattern, which we see over here, where we see there is a high sale in the month of May, or starts from April, May, and similarly it's getting repeated. And system is automatically capturing these seasonal factors to determine the accurate forecast and determine what would be the forward projections over here. So that's what we can clearly see. And if you would notice, as I was saying, that the system is automatically determining based on the decision tree how much data length would be most would be accurate to give accurate forecast. So you would notice I'm selecting different items and the model line is completely different. So the timeline which it's covering in the history, it's really different for each and every item. So that's how decision trees are working in the back end to generate a better forecast. So that is one thing, and of course there are whole lot of algorithms which are there, which we can see, which we can make use of. You can also get to know the model coefficients. What are the what's the level component, what's the slope component, and what are the various seasonal factors. And then the system is automatically going to determine what would be what would be the model map. So how accurate is the model? That's what it is trying to determine in the model map section over here. So in this case, it's saying that based on this model, in the past we have got 4.8% error. So which is really great. So that means almost 95% time, or 95% is our accuracy level, which is really great for a company. It's trying to determine that. It's trying to determine the deviation in the standard deviation based on the model, which we would be discussing in the forward section. So let's now go back to the presentation and see what else do we have over here. So first, I really wanted to focus on how forecast and stocking, or stock management, are interrelated. They're not separate. So we need to forecast to get a better stock position. So forecast, what is forecast? So forecast is honestly an unbiased estimate of a future value. So it's an unbiased estimate based on our past sale in this case, or and we are not biasing the data set. So it's a complete statistical forecast that we get out of the system, which I'd shown you in this case, that the system is using the model, and the model is basically extrapolated in the future. So the red color line over here is indicating the forecast. That's our statistical forecast for the forward horizon over here. So that's a totally unbiased estimate. If we make any change to this forecast, so we can do that by overriding it. So now I can override it. So it could be certain bias to this number. I would have the market information maybe. So I am trying to determine, and that market information could be based upon a promotion that we are running, based upon our sales team or marketing team, etc. So they can give their inputs over here, and that would have a certain bias to it. And that's what we call it as plan. So we are moving from forecasting to planning, because ultimately everything has to fall together. And that's what we can also make use of in the system. So let's move forward. So what are the various W's of forecast? So we need to know what we have to forecast. Do we have to forecast the actual sales? Do we have to forecast the shipments? Or do we have to forecast something else? It could be, for example, if we talk about an airplane company, so we want to know how many passengers are using the particular airline. So that then depends on the number of customers who are going to uh, use the particular airline services. So why do we have to forecast? So why it is important for us to forecast? Who is it we are forecasting for? Are we forecasting for warehouse? Are we forecasting for store? Are we forecasting for production? So we need to be really clear about that, and also know when do we have to generate this forecast. Do we have to forecast 3 months in advance? Do we have to forecast 2 months in advance, based on our lead times, etc.? So that would help us structure our forecasting process better, and would help us improve the forecast accuracy further if we are able to answer these four whys. Of course, accurate forecast would help us in determining how much amount of stock would be required at a particular given particular time, at a particular location. So it would complete the whole supply chain. So we need to supply the right amount of stock at the store on this particular date. That's what forecasting would help in the going forward process, because we are projecting for the future. Of course, we have safety stock. We do keep safety stock, and that acts as a buffer uh, between the forecast uncertainty time. So forecast is an unbiased estimate of future. However, as we discussed, so there could be a lot of promotions that we might be planning. There could be some other constraint because of logistics, or India because of upcoming elections in particular states. So that could result in a lot of uncertainty, or it, the one of the uncertainty that we are facing right now is because of COVID. So there are different lockdown norms in different states and cities, and lockdowns are getting, you know, there. So now the cities are opening up. So that could, result in not being able to supply on time. So, and safety stock as a buffer during those times. So why do we have to essentially have a safety stock, or how do we have to manage the safety stock? Because safety stock helps us in maximizing our customer service during the uncertain times, but it also increases our overall cost if we do not have the right safety stock. If we keep too much safety stock, then it could result in uh, you know higher inventory levels. So we need to, there's a fine balance, and we need to determine what are the ways of how can we balance our inventory in such a way, or our safety stock in such a way that we it results in maximum service, customer service, and also results in minimizing the inventory cost as much as possible. So this is the main objective of having the safety stock. And how we can achieve this? We can achieve it if our forecast accuracy is better, if we are able to accurate our products sale at different times. So that's the objective that we have over here. So let's see an example. And in this case, we have two set of scenarios. So in one scenario, we have a product, or the lead time of the product is slightly less. So it's about 1 or 2 weeks of lead time. In the second case, we have about 4 to 6 weeks of lead time. And within the first scenario, we have two different instances. So in one case, we are able to accurately predict our forecast. And in the second case, which we can see over here, the forecast is low. So typically, when our forecast accuracy is better, we can manage with less amount of stock as well, or we can manage with less amount of lead time coverage. So in this case, say for example, we have a lead time coverage of about 25% of lead time. Sorry, our safety stock is 25% of our lead time. So in that case, if we have, say for example, 10 days of lead time for this product, and 10 days of lead time would translate to 2.5 days of cover that we would have. The monthly demand would be, we are just having an average number over here, that's 750 units. So that's our monthly demand. And if we calculate and convert it to daily demand, it becomes 25. And since we are going to manage with less amount of stock, or less amount of lead time coverage, uh, that would result in 63 units of safety stock. So let's forget about this section over here and just focus on, this is the amount of safety stock that we would be using to be able to manage our supply chain well, right? So in the second scenario, when we have really low forecast accuracy, because there is a lot of uncertainty, we are not able to predict the data better, we would want to cover for that higher uncertainty. And in that section, we would want to have a very high lead time coverage. So in this case, we would be keeping, say for example, 50% of our lead time as our safety stock. So same scenario, but since our days of cover has increased, it is resulting into 125 units of safety stock to be able to cover because of low forecast accuracy. And if you look at safety stock versus demand, the safety stock is 8% of the demand in the first scenario when we are really accurate. In the second scenario, when we are not so accurate, our safety stock is really high. We are keeping its 17% of our total demand as our safety stock, which is a real high number. So now let's look at the second scenario when our lead time is slightly high and our forecast accuracy is different. So when we have a high forecast accuracy and when we have very long lead time. So in that case, we want to keep a buffer based on the lead time as well as on the demand, because there is a long lead time as well as the demand would also be higher during that time, right? So in this case, we are going to keep, say for example, 15% of lead time and 15% of demand. So minimum of these two situations is what we are going to have as a coverage for safety stock. The same situation, just our lead times are higher in this case, and we can clearly notice that the safety stock that we are maintaining is 113 in the case where we are highly accurate, and 188 units in the case that we are not really accurate. And that results in the amount of safety stock percentage becoming 15% and 25% respectively in these two cases. So this is a quite close relationship between forecast accuracy and safety stock level. And of course, we all know, higher the safety stock, higher the investments in inventory, and would result in blocking of cash. And if our forecast accuracy is very poor, we would also be losing out on sale, because if we are not maintaining high stock, then we would have to keep, maybe if you're not managing with very good stock, then we would have the chances of getting potentially stocked out in certain situations. So that's not the scenario that we would want to have. And that's the reason it's really important to have a system in place which gives very accurate forecast, because accurate forecast would result in better stocking levels, which would result in uh, reducing the potential stockouts and also reducing the excess stock in the inventory that we are holding. Typically, when the safety stock is greater than 25%, it's a clear indication that there is an issue in either forecasting or lead time, which is there is a high volatility in the demand, or there is a lot of supplier uncertainty that the supplier is not being able to supply. And we need to clearly focus on these two segments over here. And that's the beauty of Streamline, that it clearly automatically predicts what is the uncertainty in the forecast, and we would show you how we can also model the lead time uncertainty in our data. But before moving to that, let's first understand the potential losses and excess stock reasons. So why do we have the potential stock out? As we said previously, if the safety stock level is greater than 25%, then it's a clear-cut indication that we are not managing either the demand well or the lead time well. So what are the typical reason of it? So we would have demand fluctuation, we would have high forecast error or high sales forecasting error. Of course, our supplier performance is really poor. There could be chances of logistics incidents, quality issues. The products which are arriving from the suppliers have poor quality, and we are rejecting most of the items. Or it could be during the production, the process is not being managed well and our defects are increasing. So that could also result in quality issues. The quality issue could also arise from the fact that uh, the products have shelf life, and uh, they are no longer suitable for consumption after a given amount of time. So that could result in a stock out as well. And of course, operations reliability can also, if that's not great, then the chances of getting stocked out increases. So that's a very good indication of where to look at. These are the points which we can basically look at in our supply chain to determine how we can better manage our inventory levels. The other reason a lot of companies go for keeping a very high stock, just to remove the uncertainty of losing out on stock out, is they would keep very high stock, and that could result in high holding cost. That could also result in blocking of cash, and of course it leads to lot of damages or quality deterioration or shelf life issues after a long period of time, because if the demand is is not that great, we would have a lot of shelf life issues, and that results in loss of companies' money. So when we look at the stock out, of course, it results in potential, loss of sales or potential stock outs, and this is the excess stock. Uh, when we try to mitigate potential loss of stockouts would result in lower customer service, and excess stock would result in high inventory levels. So that's what we need to keep in mind. So let's look at the system and see how we can better manage this scenario well. So in this case, I'm going back to the my previous example where the system has automatically generated the forecast, and that's being depicted in the red color line. And you will notice that there are the inventory levels which are being represented in the green color line. So these are the fluctuation, and you would notice that my inventory level is not constant in this graph. It's increasing or decreasing as the time goes on or as the demand is fluctuating. So if my demand is high, based on my lead time, I would start procuring the products much before in time, so that we have the items ready, and that's what the system is automatically able to figure out in this case scenario as well. So based on the amount of on-hand stock that we have, system is automatically calculating how much do we need to order more to be able to meet the requirement in the next month. And of course, it depends on the lead time. And you will notice, I'll just slide it over here. You can notice that the system is depicting certain values over here, which are highlighted in red color or pink color line, pink color bar, and they are also highlighted in green color. So essentially, this is an indication that the system is giving us that we really do not have enough stock, and because of the lead time and insufficient stock, we are going to lose out on sale by this much value. So at a total overall level, I can see that in this scenario we have 48,110 rupee, which we would be potentially losing out on. So this is the margin that we would be losing out for our products because we are not carrying sufficient stock. And that's not a very good picture to have. We can clearly see that our demand is quite high and we are not carrying very good amount of stock. So in this case, the stock is 145. However, the demand next month is 185 units. So there is still a gap over here that we can see. And let's see if I can show you the example in the system as well. So I'll just copy this item. Quick and easy, as I said, it's very easy to filter items in Streamline. So in this case, system is showcasing that for this product, we currently have 145 on hand, which roughly translates to 21 days of supply for us. Since the lead time over here is 30 days, we can clearly see that even if we order today, we would not be able to get the products on time to be able to meet our sales. And what the system is doing when we move forward, it is also telling me by how many units I would be understocked, I would be stocked out. So this is 57 units is the total unit that I would be, that I'm not stocking more. So I'll have to figure out these strategies. Do I have to get the product from some other location quickly? Do I need to expedite these orders? We can take all those strategy call when we get this kind of output over here. And also, I would want to show you the total projected inventory levels. And in this case, we do not have sufficient stock, and you would notice that we initially we would be there's a pink band, and you would notice that the pink band is not continuing forever in future, which indicates that we would the streamline system is correcting the stocks very well as we move forward in time. The green color bar are the dark green basically indicates that we have excess stocks. In this case, we have an excess stock by 23 unit, and you would notice it's not going to generate order for this item going forward, and it would wait till the stocking levels come to a point which is normal, which is manageable, which is based on the forward demand and based on the kind of inventory strategies that we are keeping in the system. That's what it is trying to do. So slowly, when you start using the system and start adopting those strategies, it would automatically start correcting the supply chain and correcting the stockouts and balancing the excess stock moving forward. So that's the whole easy part in the system that we get to see. In this case, we can clearly see that I had selected the same product. So we have 96 units of stock, and we have 34 units of forward projections. And based on these numbers, we can clearly see that the current stock is going to last for next 3 months. So we really do not have to order right now, but based on the lead time we would be ordering. And system is also giving me this green color number value, and it's indicating that I'm excess by 885 855 sorry 8855 rupees is what I'm overstocked, and this is the amount that I'm blocking in cash for this inventory. So let's go back and see what else do we have over here. So safety stock level. So of course, we discussed, when our safety stock is not proper, it's greater than 25%. We need to look at what are the areas where we can, what are the areas which are impacting. So demand is one of the variability, which is a very important factor in safety stock. Supply is another option where we need to look at. So the supplier uncertainty and demand variability are the two factors which basically determine the safety stock, which basically guide us in having the right amount of safety stock in place. So safety stock, of course, is based on forecast accuracy, based on lead time, based on service level, which essentially, and our objective is to maximize the customer service level and minimize the inventory cost. So this is our objective. So how we can really achieve it? So let's start looking at how the system is using these different calculation to give us better customer service level. And let's see how the system is calculating the safety stock. So I will try to go to this section over here first, and let's look at the settings part. So in settings, when we go over here, we can see how there is a setting for safety stock. So we have the lead time, we have the order cycle, we have given certain other values, but we want to focus on the safety stock first. In Streamline, we can see it's focusing on the service level, and service level is basically dependent on the service factor. So if you want to service our customer 98% of the time, we need to have our safety stock based on this formula. So these are standard formulas which are available, which the system is using, and these would be very difficult to calculate in Excel. And it would, of course, be a time cumbersome process, which the system is very flexible and it's doing it very easily. So we can clearly see that in this case, we have a 98% service level for all our items. And the safety stock value is given over here. So when we have 98% of service level, it's telling me that we need to use a service factor of 2.05 multiplied by the standard deviation. So this is the standard deviation of the demand and the square root of cycle. And you would notice if I'm going to change this service level percentage. So for example, if we have agreed with the customer, or if our objective as a business is to have 95% of the service level, then Streamline is automatically going to calculate how much safety stock do we need to keep. And that's really useful. And because we are using the demand uncertainty over here, we are just not focusing on the forward demand, but we are also focusing on the unbiased error of the model. So that's the important objective that we can see in the system. So when I go to this screen over here, it's and I'm going to the model section. So it's apart from giving me all the different values, it's giving me what is the model make. It's telling me the seasonality test. It's telling me the safety stock standard deviation. So it's this is a very, very important factor that we can see, and that's being used for our inventory calculations as well going forward. So if this is the on-hand stock that we have, and that's roughly translating to 83 units, it's we definitely have to give in a lot of other, we need to feed in other parameters as well. So the other parameters are, for example, lead time, the lead time variance, which we will be discussing in short while. We also need to provide at what frequency do we have to place the order for. Do we have to place the order, or do we need to supply the products once a month, or is it twice a month, or is it whenever the safety stock reaches a certain level? Is it periodic, or is it on based on our safety, based on our stocking levels? So we need to determine that. And based on the service level, system is automatically determining that in this case, because we had a very good forecast accuracy, it's telling me that we need to keep only 3 units of stock as safety stock for this particular product. And of course, when we have a completely different item, the safety stock is going to change. In this case, because we have certain uncertainty in the data, system is determining that we need to keep it different safety stock value for this particular item. So it's going to calculate the safety stock for each and every item based on the parameters that we provide. And it's really important that we manage our parameters well, and that would be dependent on answering the 4 W's of forecast. So why are we forecasting, for whom are we forecasting, why what exactly are we forecasting? So in this case, we are forecasting the sales of dark beer can. Are we, if we have certain channels, or if we have certain locations at which we are managing, say for example warehouse, or it could be a different stores. So are we forecasting for the sales at these stores, or are we forecasting for how much do we have to, how much it goes out of the warehouse? So what are my shipments? So that we need to figure out, and that would help you in determining these different parameters that we have over here. So it apart from taking in the on hand amount, it takes into account how many do we have to ship to our customer immediately. Are there any orders do we need to ship to our customer that we have promised? Are there any receivables? So are there any products that are in line? So in this case, we have say 100 shipment which would be arriving on May 30th, and there would be certain amount that would be arriving on a different time period. So we can provide that information. System keeps a track of forward incoming inventory as well, and that's going to be taken into consideration to be able to determine, do we have to order now, or since there is some stock coming in, do we wait? So this calculation would be determined by the system automatically. We have lead time over here, and apart from lead time, as I said, that we can also have the lead time variability in place, and that we call it as lead time variance. So we can have lead time variance as well. Say, for example, our supplier is typically not being able to supply on time, and there is a variance. So, say, for example, variance of 10 days. And you would notice, if I just keep it, make it as zero, my safety stock would is 58 right now. But if I change and I tell the system that I have a lead time variance from my supplier of 10 days, it's going to factor this information in, and going to increase my safety stock. So we need to start looking at our supply chain and try to determine what are the factors which are causing issue. Is it our suppliers? Is it our inaccurate forecast? And that would help you in reducing the stock well, and system like Streamline would help you in quickly able to look at those situations, and also rationalize the inventory well by giving you this information. We can then tell the system, are we going to order once a month, or we can have a different strategy in place. So we have a periodic strategy or a min-max strategy. Min-max strategy indicating whenever the stock goes below a certain level, below the reorder point, we need to start ordering. We need to immediately order for. So in that case, system would start looking at the stock on a daily basis and would give you a report when do you have to order next. So that's also equally important that we have this information. We can tell the system what is our supplier value. So how much do we have to uh, purchase this product in volume or value, or if we are just supplying to our stores, then how much do we have to supply? So we can we supply 1 unit also, or do we have to supply in a lot of 100 units? So that is specified over here. Rounding 10, so post 100, in how many units do can we supply to our to this particular location or for this particular product? We have service level over here. We also have lot of other information. If I go into the replenishment parameter, so we have maximum lot. So do we need to cap the amount which goes out for a particular item, especially in cases where it's a C class item and it's not behaving pretty badly. So it's not behaving correctly, as in there's a lot of uncertainty. So do we need to monitor that? Do we need to cap that in case that not high value goes out of the system, so we can have that. In case we have a display quantity to that needs to be included on our stock, so we can have the display quantity as well. There are a whole lot of information that you will get out of the system. So let's go one by one and see how we can better manage the situation. So we have the safety stock. We can also look at the shelf life of the product. If we have those products which are which have certain shelf life, post which those are not ready to be consumed, we can factor the shelf life parameter as well into the system, and system is automatically going to use this information for getting our PUs ready. So based on all this information, we can definitely have a container capacity option as well, where we can tell the system that we have a container or we have a truck, and I'm just going to name it as container one, and the capacity based on the load, based on the quantity is 10,000 units. So I can at any given point of time only get 10,000 unit and not more than that or not less than that, because I need to optimize my space spend. The system is going to take that into account and factor that in as well. And I can specify this information that for this particular product, I'm going to use container one. So there is a capacity of 1,000 unit. There's a load restriction of 1,000 unit. I cannot get beyond that. Let me use this particular item where we have certain projection that is coming in. So now I've selected that in this container there would be two products that would be coming in, and based on this information of 10,000 units, system has automatically optimized my order in a way that earlier it was a very low amount. So the net order was 128 unit, but now the system is saying that because we have a container through which we are supplying, we need to get all 7,980 units, so that our container is well optimized, and it is going to give me a report how much excess are we ordering. So in this case, it's 98% is our excess order. So it gives you this information as well, which is very important. If we are managing our supply, we need to take into account how much excess are we ordering. Is it really required? How can we better optimize it going forward? So that's really important. And finally, you would have your purchase plan order, and you can export them directly to Excel, or if you have a database connectivity, then it could be directly pushed back to your ERP through the database connection. The best way is to just directly download it into Excel and use it if we are managing our supply chain through the Excel system. I'll go to the report section because the report section is really important. It helps you in managing all the different sides of the business very well. It would give you where to look at. For example, I really want to now start monitoring my supply chain well, and I need to monitor in a way that I look at what is my absolute percentage error, what is the percentage error for all different products that we have, and I want to really monitor it so that I can improve it going forward in future. So Streamline gives you this report where we can look at forecast versus actual, and we can see for this particular product we are pretty accurate, but we were not very accurate in the month of March and April. We can go back to this, you know, go back to our team, understand why exactly this error was for, and we all know that March and April probably were disrupted because of COVID. So we know that during those uncertain time, the forecast would definitely be impacted as because everything was impacted. But from May onwards, we started recovering, and slowly our error is reducing as well. So this is a very important report where we can understand and where we can look at those items which are really giving us very high error, and we can group them basis A, B, C. So I want to monitor which class of the item is giving me very high error. Is it A class item? Is it B class item? Or is it C class item? Classification of item is really important. I cannot emphasize on this particular point as much, in less words. It's really important to have the classification going on because it would help you focus on those items which are really important for your business, which can result in better revenue and better forecast and better inventory, cash flow, etc. Right. So if I make a change in a class item, which is a very high value product, it would give me an immediate instant increase in the cash flow. However, making a change in C class item would take a lot of time because there would be a lot of items which would be falling in the C class category, and usually C class items do not have very good pattern, and thus it's not really important to focus on a C class item, but it's really important to focus on A class item and figure out where exactly is the good bad thing happening, how we can really improve our process. So this is what I honestly wanted to cover, and I am now open to take any questions over here. I hope the session was useful to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Shital, for guiding us through the processes, emphasizing what is important, what is not that much. So, guys, we're waiting for your questions in chat or in Q&A session. Meanwhile, we have already one question from Juan. A wholesaler has products with different order cycles as lead times. How do you handle this?
Okay. So in Streamline system, we can have a different lead time for different products. That's very easy to do. For example, this product has a 30-day lead time, and another product could have a just 10-day lead time. And you would notice if I say make a change in this case from 40, so currently it's in pink color, and the days of supply is 10 units, 10 days. And if we make a change to the lead time over here to 10, you would notice that this pink would change to green because in that situation it would have sufficient stock. Or maybe let me just reduce it a little further because we are, I think, really little off the time, so it's not displaying that because we are right now in October, and this data has information up till May, but it truly gives you this picture. Maybe let me use a different example to showcase that. So we have this example, and I'm just going to make it as 10. If you would notice, the information of on-hand stock changed from pink to green because it's automatically factoring in different lead times at for different products. I hope that answers the question, Lillian. In case
Uh,
you want to add.
No, thanks. Pretty much straight to the point. Thanks, Shital. Um, Another question: how do you handle the effect of the pandemia into the forecast?
Okay, that's a good question. In fact, all of us are facing this issue of n- where the pandemic has hit our products in one way or the other. So that's a pretty common question. So the first information that I would personally tell the team is to monitor the forecast really well, to start sensing the demand signals well in advance. Take that information, put it as a forecast override. Say, for example, right now we get an information that in X location, it's going to be a complete lockdown. So we need to start monitoring that pretty well and reduce the forecast or improve the forecast in case we have essential products. So we need to give system certain time. And based on, say, for example, if the demand for our products, because they are in essential product categories, has increased, system is automatically going to capture that once it starts seeing 1 or 2 months it would automatically start giving us a very high numbers. That's one way of where the system is automatically going to correct the focus. The second way would be to change the forecast value, where we can use the override section. And of course, the system is going to take this forecast and change our ordering plan as well.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, yeah. Keep track of your forecast. Make sure you're up to date. Pretty much the best strategy now. Another question from Bettina: how do you handle product launches without historic data?
Okay, that's a very good question. In fact, uh, I'll just open up an example and show you if we have the necessary example. Let me go back. I'm just opening a previous example. So here we have this product. So typically, new products are not really new products, as we understand. So when we say it's a new product, it's usually a replacement of an existing product, or it could be a slight modification in another product, or it could be different launch. So what are truly new products? Truly new products are, say, out of the world. They are launched in the world for the first time. For rest of the products, we really have some of the other information. uh, say, for example, in this case, we have a product which was air purifier model 1, and now we are launching another product which is air purifier model 2. In this case, we have a very low history. I hope this example can help you understand that. But what we are trying to do, if I go back to the forecasting over here, I have used the model from the existing product which was in sale. So either we can do that, or we can just substitute the existing product. So we can use that as well. Or we can tell the system, take the historical pattern and take the pattern from the existing product which is in sale and apply it to the new product, and change it with the multiplier. So it could happen that earlier we were selling a 500 unit of a product, or 500 kg of a product, but now we are selling in 250-gram packets, right? So
Mhm.
that would have the multiplier implications. So now just taking the pattern is not sufficient. We need to use this multiplier and say that this is going to be twice of what our previous product was, and automatically system is going to increase or decrease the numbers accordingly.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks a lot for your answer. We have a couple of more questions coming. Just let me check who was the first one. Is service level assuming normal distribution for all product, or is there a provision to change the distribution? How the planner selects which distribution to select? 98% service level factor of 2.05 is based on normal distribution, the average you highlighted. The question from Durvesh.
Okay, yeah. So, Dhruvesh, we really need to study our our business well. We really cannot determine the service level just 98% for all the products. We need to understand what exactly is our business requirement. What exactly are we trying to achieve? If our business objective is to meet our customers service level by 98%, then it's very good to, so we have to start asking these questions back to the management. What exactly is our objective? Are we trying to improve our service level, or are we trying to manage our cash flows well? So this is a very thin line, as we said, because a higher service level would have a direct implication on the supply, would have a direct implication on your cash flows, because you would have high inventory value blocked in the form of capital. So we really need to manage accordingly.
I think we have follow-up question to that. I want to know, can the software determine the distribution?
Um, Sorry, say that again.
The version is asking whether the software is able to determine the distribution.
Yes, so that it is determining automatically, in fact. So we really do not have to give that information. It's doing that automatically in the backend. That's pretty much the case with majority of the system, and Streamline is also capable of that. And Lilian, you can correct me in case I'm saying anything wrong.
No, this is it. If you go to settings, you will be able even to see the formula and what exactly it's doing with the surface stock calculations.
Yes.
How do you calculate the lead time variance? Question from Han.
So basically, you'll have to manage monitor your suppliers well. If the so you need to start figuring out what is the duration that you have specified, and whether they are going above it or below it. Are they really a good supplier, so they are delivering before time, or are they taking little more time? And you have to see it not just once, maybe monitor it for a quarter. That would be my suggestion, and see if they are really not being able to supply on time. That is the deviation that you would see, and once you have that, you can put it in the system and use it.
Okay, let me check for another questions if we have any. Um, Forecast accuracy and safety stock. How many months high or low that gets classified as high or low? This means if I change the forecast accuracy formula, will lead to change in accuracy, will impact safety stock.
Okay, so how many months high or low that gets classified as high or low? So honestly, I would say it typically depends on the company or the lead time. Say, and usually it's I would recommend as 3 months. So we can look at past 3 months. If for consistently for 3 months we are inaccurate, then and our accuracy is low, then it's a clear cut indication that there is some problem either in our forecast, because of certain aberrations that are happening in the market, or is it okay? And yes, the system is going to calculate this automatically. Basically, in this system, it's an unbiased uncertainty that it is, unbiased standard deviation that it is automatically calculating based on the model. And this model fitment is decided based on the decision trees. So how much data length should it go back in the past to be able to look at and figure out the model fitment in the data? So that pretty much basically takes care of the.
Follow-up question to that though, does the system do this automatically or this is a planner input?
Yeah, so this is done automatically.
Awesome, thanks, Chantal. And I think one more question, and that would be probably the last one from Daniel. When people purchase a Streamline, how many days or hours are usually required for training? What is the typical number of users per company using Streamline?
So Streamline is very easy and quick to use system. I mean, few of the customers have been able to use Streamline just with 1 day of training. That's it, or even less than that. they can really get started with the system just by, if we have the data well ready with us, we can just directly input in the system. It typically takes few seconds to generate all this information that you're seeing in the screen over here. And with just one round of session, you were ready to go, I would say. It doesn't take a lot of time. Typically, number of users per company using Streamline, so it depends from company to company. Smaller companies would have a, lesser number of users. Bigger company would have a higher number of users, depending on the brands that they are handling, depending on the locations that they are handling. So typically depends on company to company. I really cannot have a very specific answer that yes, 4 are the number of users that are using a Streamline per company.
Okay, thanks a lot. I think we will. I think we have one more question to cover. Is the holdout period defined? Oh, we have very much interest from Darvesh, I think, and Shidal, you might want to then follow up with Darvesh directly because we have lots of questions from him coming. Is the holdout period defined for computing the statistical forecast and then arriving at RMCE? For example, if the lead time is 90 days, is it holdout period?
I'm sorry. Okay, I need to read this question.
It's
This is
in
quite a
tab.
long. Okay. Is the holdout period defined for computing the statistical forecasts and then arriving at RMSE? That is, if the lead time is 90 days, it is a holdout period.
Maybe
So,
do you need some time to think of this?
yes, I think we will take it
Homework.
one-on-one post the session. This is a long conversation, I think, that we'll have to have with Dhruvesh.
Okay, so let's do that because we are running out of time and still want to share $1,000 coupon. So Darvesh, I think we will contact you maybe today or tomorrow with a follow-up on your questions.